Now, life is getting harder, and it's feeling more dangerous in the liberal utopias like San Francisco, where we just were, or LA, Philly, Chicago. Regular, sane people are getting tired of paying through the nose for a declining quality of life. And as we've seen in New York, well, they're just deciding, I'm going to pick up and move. Now, seeing a lot of for lease signs I have over the last few days, they're hanging in all the office building windows. And one real estate expert is warning of a permanent collapse of real estate, commercial real estate, due to what's being called an urban doom loop. Oh, my God, that sounds awful. Of course, who would want to make the trek into the city when it seems that criminals have the run of the place, especially with leftist prosecutors like New York's Alvin Bragg in charge? As a Soros-backed prosecutor, he doesn't consider prosecuting career criminals a top priority. He considers a top priority to be hunting down heroes like subway Good Samaritans, Daniel Penny. That's one of his most important missions. Now, Bragg wants to make an example out of Mr. Penny. And it's something like this: defend yourself or defend others, and you're doing it at your own risk, the risk of prosecution. Now, naturally, Bragg gets the high five on all this from New York's neo-socialist governor.
No person should ride the subway, even if they're having a mental health episode. And for that, there's excessive force, which I believe was used here. This family deserves justice.
Wow. And now things are getting worse. Bragg is widening the net. According to the New York Post tonight, investigators appear to have identified one of the two men seen on the video helping Penny. Now, the sources said authorities have been scouring surveillance footage looking for them. And so I'm thinking to myself, do they simply want to question these two men as potential witnesses? Well, considering it's Bragg, that's doubtful. More likely, he wants to bag a few accomplices. Two more vigilante scalps on the wall. Now, this is a sick manhunt for two men who did nothing wrong. 2 nights ago, we interviewed a woman who was brutally beaten in the subway. She told us things could have been different if someone like Mr. Penny was around.
I would never be the same again. I'm not that person that I was 7 months ago. And if I had somebody like Penny around, maybe things would have been different. I probably wouldn't have suffered so much pain and suffering and these things that I go through.
Well, she lost one of her eyes because of that attack, and so much more. Her life was completely shattered. Now, she planned to join us tonight until she called and told us she had received too many threats. Please pray for her and all the victims of crime in every city in this country. Elizabeth Gomes isn't the only one, though, who thinks this way about Daniel Penny.
Me and my girlfriend use the train very often, and she always feels uncomfortable. It's not supposed to be like that.
There's a lot of crazy things that are happening in this city right now, and it's like just scary to be out.
If someone does attack you, you need to do something. And whatever it takes, do it.
If he didn't do anything, what happens? Could have hurt a child or a woman, pregnant woman.
And a witness on the train, a woman of color who's about 64 years of age, spoke exclusively to Fox News Digital and described how she felt when Penny stepped up as a real man would. She said, he's a hero. It was self-defense, and I believe in my heart that he saved a lot of people that day that could have gotten hurt. The people on that train, we were scared. We were scared for our lives. And that's just how the left wants you, isn't it? Scared. Too scared to act, too scared to speak out, too scared to stand up for your right to self-defense. Now, the only way to change this dynamic, to turn the tide against this criminal element and the prosecutors who shield them, is to... If the cities want change, they'll have to change their voting habits. And courageous men and women will need to step forward and lead the way.